Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, June 15th, 2023, and this is episode 258. My name is Carol. I am known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. I am trying a bit of an experiment today and recording outside on our back deck. I don't normally even attempt this because I'm aware that there is a lot of ambient noise. For one thing, we have a kennel right over there, and you can probably hear the sound of barking dogs in the background. Of course, the barking seemed to get worse as soon as I started recording. You're also going to hear the sound of traffic from the street in the front of our house. We hear it here in the backyard. We also have neighbors, so you might hear the sounds of people talking or children playing. And hopefully none of those sounds are too distracting for you. Let's just pretend you've come over for happy hour because it is late Thursday afternoon, and we're sitting on our back deck together having a drink and some conversation. You're going to hear some dogs, you're going to hear some cars, you're going to hear some people. But hopefully you'll also hear the sound of chirping birds, which is much more pleasant. And I moved my hummingbird feeder over here, so we may even have a little visitor during the podcast. I scared one away when I came to set things up, and then it came back to check things out a short time later. So you never know, we might have a hummingbird pop in on us too. So get yourselves something to drink. Join me for happy hour. Cheers. I am drinking White Claw hard seltzer in the mango flavor, and it's very refreshing. So before I show you what things I've been working on this week, just a reminder, there are a couple of make-alongs that are taking place in the Ravelry group. One is a year-long chatter thread called Another Year of Stash, and the other is a monthly make-along called the Yarn of the Month Club. So if you're interested in checking those out, come on by the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group, read the first post in each of the pertinent threads, and join on in. I would love to see you there. The wind's picking up a little bit too, so hopefully that doesn't cause that awful windy, staticky sound in the microphone. Put it this way, if I listen back and I think it's terrible, then I will just re-record this episode indoors. You can hear the red-winged blackbird at the feeder there. All right, I have a finished project this week, and in fact it is my Yarn of the Month Club project for June. It is the Secret Skein. It's a cowl by Stephanie Lotfin, who is Telly Bean Knits. And I knit this from a skein of Smith & You Mary Ann's Bliss in the Peacock Gradient. This is a great pattern. I love it so much that I actually knit one for my March Yarn of the Month Club project and decided to knit another. So the beginning is stripes of plain knitting and eyelets, and then you join in the round and transition into this elongated and garter stitch pattern. So you can see that the bottom looks like a triangular shawl, and when it's on, this cowl looks a lot like a triangular shawl that's being worn in a bandana style. Only it is much easier to wear and it doesn't slip off your shoulders. So, zhuzh it a little here. I'll stand up so you can see it. So, you can see that the skein started with this dark yarn, and then it transitioned into the lighter speckles, and then by the end it was dark again. I used all but about 1 meter of the yarn, and I was able to get an extra pattern repeat from what I had. And so I'm very happy with how this turned out. So I've now knit 2, and I suspect that I will go on to knit more than just 2 of this pattern. It is a little warm to be wearing wool right now, so I'm going to take this off. I can also hear my phone ringing inside, so I'm going to go grab that. I'll be right back. So I had a bit of a glitch. I came back from my phone call, recorded the rest of my knitting for the week, and then proceeded to accidentally delete the file. So let's try again, shall we? I have 3 works in progress this week. The first is a pair of socks that I am knitting from this yarn. It is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works, from the September 2022 Backyard Birdwatchers Club 2nd edition. And this is the Heavenly base, which is an 80-10-10 superwash merino, cashmere, and nylon base. And this is the Cooper's Hawk colorway. Along with the self-striping skein, we also got 2 20-gram minis. So my plan is to knit 2 pairs of socks, one for myself and one for my husband Cameron. I told him not to expect his anytime soon because it's unlikely I'm going to want to work with this colorway again after I finish, or again right away after I finish my socks, but he's got plenty of socks, not to worry. So let's see if I can untangle these. Oh, it all twisted up. I think I'm making it worse. Okay, let's just roll with it. So here's as far as I've got on one sock. Rather than do pair plain stockinette socks, I decided to do the heel toe do-si-do pattern by Kay Litton, who is the Crazy Sock Lady. And it's just this really easy, fun chevron pattern on the front of the sock, and then on the back it's just plain. The pattern calls for 1x1 twisted rib, but I just did a 2x2 rib. I had recently done quite a number of 1x1 twisted rib cuffs, and I just couldn't face another one. Not my favorite to knit. I do like the way they look, I just don't like knitting them. And yeah, I'm working these on a 2mm needle the way I do most of my socks at 64 stitches. I think it's the medium size. And got that far on this sock, and been knitting 2 in tandem, so I've got that far on the second. So they are coming along nicely. I really like this base. It feels really good to work with. And this is just a great pattern. It's just a simple 2-row repeat, so it's more interesting than plain stockinette, but not so difficult that you can't sort of just knit them almost without thinking. So enjoying those. It's definitely clouded over a little more since I sat down. The second work in progress that I have to share with you is also a pair of socks. Actually, when I sat down to write show notes this week, I realized that 3 of my 4 projects are bird related. So the cowl was done from the Peacock Gradient. The first pair of socks is from the Cooper's Hawk colorway. And then this third project is the Feather Vein Socks by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. So we have a bird theme there too. I am knitting this pair of socks from some very bright yarn from Sweet Fiber. It is the Super Sweet Sock base, which is an 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon base. And this is from the Spring 2023 Sock Club, and this is the Electric Daffodil colorway. But I am thinking of these as my electric goldfinch socks because I chose this color to represent one of my favorite summer visitors to our bird feeders, which is the American goldfinch. So it's a lace and cable pattern. Once again, the pattern is only on the front of the sock. The back, whoops, the back is plain. And I have completed the heel flap and gusset, and I'm now just working straight along the foot. So I'm going to slip this on a sock blocker. First I'll show you just the front of the sock so you can see that lace and cable pattern more easily. I'm also knitting these on a 2mm needle. And then I'll put them sideways so you can, or put it sideways so you can see how it looks with the heel. I was in the mood to work on these, I think it was Monday, and I worked on them, no, I think it was Tuesday actually, and I worked on them a good part of the day, so I got a lot done. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you actually work on something. Go figure, hey? There you go. So another really nice sock from Helen Stewart, and I'm hoping that this pair will be done in time for the third pattern. Did I mention this is the second pattern in the Handmade Sock Society for this year? Can't remember if I said it this time or said it last time. Anyway, it is. And finally, a sweater that I've been working on. This is for my May Yarn of the Month Club project, and it is the Ondas blouse by Valentina Bogdanova. So it looks like that. As I've mentioned before, I am making this from 1 skein each of Qing fiber. I have the merino single base and also the kid mohair silk, I think it's called. Yeah, kid mohair silk in the dew colorway. The pattern calls for 2 skeins of the mohair. So I knew right away that this was going to be a short sleeve sweater rather than a long sleeve. And I also was pretty sure that rather than knit the pattern as written with just mohair in the body, that I would do some kind of bottom finish with the merino single. My first, I've got mohair tickling my nose here. My first thought was to do the lace pattern that's up here. And I actually did cast that on yesterday and worked a third of the chart, which is 1 pattern repeat, and tried it on. And while I did like the way it looked, I had 2 concerns. One was that I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough yarn to knit the whole band. And then I was also concerned that that would be too wide a finish for the sleeves. So I thought I would instead just do something a little more simple. Also, I was worried about gilding the lily. You know that expression when you're kind of, it's already fancy enough, you don't need to add more fancy. I thought maybe by putting lace on the bottom might be just a little too much. So in the end, what I decided to do instead is just do some 1x1 twisted rib, planning to do about 2 inches on the bottom, and then I'm going to do short sleeves with probably about 1 inch of twisted rib on the sleeves. So let me show this to you. So I've got all the mohair silk done in the body. Ooh, little gust of wind there. And I've done about 1 inch of the ribbing. It continues to fit really well. I keep trying it on. I'm surprised that the body is not as long as I thought it would be or should be. I was only 11.5 inches when I began my ribbing, which is very short for me. But I think part of it is because this round yoke brings that makes the yolk is longer and therefore the body's shorter. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, still happy with this, very excited at the prospect of having it finished soon and being able to cast on another sweater, because I really want to make one. I don't know yet if I'm going to do, well, I don't know which one I'm going to cast on. I've got a couple in mind. I can only remember one of them, that's why I'm not going to tell you the other. But yeah, that's the plan, is once this is done, another sweater is going on the needles. All right, life. This past weekend, we took part in a ball tournament on Saturday and Sunday for Cameron's slow pitch team. They won all 3 of their games on Saturday handily, which gave them the bye for Sunday morning. So they didn't need to play again until 2:30 that afternoon. Unfortunately, they didn't do so well. They played the same team they had played last on Saturday, but basically they did to us what we had done to them on the day before. Both teams had a few different players, and it just made for 2 different teams. Our team just didn't play as well as it had the day before, and their team played better. And so they beat us, and that meant that they went into the final. Whoops, I just knocked the table there. I don't even know who won, to be honest. After our game, we sat and had a drink at the beer garden, and then we all went our ways. So I don't even know who ended up winning the tournament. It didn't really count for anything other than bragging rights. So Saturday night, we had the team here for a barbecue, which turned out really well. The weather was a bit on the cool side though, so it turned into more of a kitchen party, which was just fine. So some people sat out here on the deck to have their meal, and then the barbecue's just over here, so we cooked on that. Most of us just sat inside around the table, and it was great. It was a very late night. The last couple to left, some longtime friends of ours, didn't leave until after 1:30. So I think it was about 2 by the time we got to bed. So it's a good thing we didn't have to get up too early the next morning and play right away. I got baby cuddles twice this week. I think it was last Friday that I looked after my great niece for a little while, and then yesterday my nephew's wife asked if I would come over and help her out in the afternoon, and so I did that. And while she had a nap later in the afternoon, I held the baby, and I was pretty sure she was going to drop off too. She was pretty mellow, and sure enough, she fell asleep. So sat with her on the couch, read my book, got a little sleepy myself, and closed my eyes, had a little snooze, and I had her there till my nephew got home from work at about 4:15. So definitely got my share of baby snuggles in this week. It was awesome. There's just nothing like the smell of a baby. They just smell so good. Cameron's away again. He left this morning. He is returning tomorrow night so that he can be home for Saturday, which is our granddaughter's commencement. So we will be going to that on Saturday afternoon, and then he'll be taking off again Sunday morning, and this time he's going to be gone from Sunday to Sunday. Won't be back until Sunday night. So a long stretch from him. The store that he's been working at, the manager for that store is going to be on holidays, and so there just isn't anyone that's qualified yet to handle things when there's no manager there. And so he's been helping out a lot lately. But then once he's back home on the Monday, he goes in for surgery, and then he's off himself for over a week recuperating. So kind of a forced vacation, not a bad thing. I don't think he'll be in too bad a way after surgery, from everything we understand. And so it'll be good for him to have some time off and some forced rest and relaxation. It'll be nice to have him around. Hopefully the weather's good, and then we can, you know, sit outside here and enjoy the yard and the flowers and the birds and all of that. Speaking of birds, no, I might have already said this. While I was recording before, the hummingbird actually came around, and the feeder is usually over there, and it came over to where the feeder usually is and kind of flew around for a minute and then took off. I'm sure it didn't help that I was sitting here. I think I scared it a little bit, but keep watching, you never know, it might come here. So Sunday, unfortunately, Cameron is going to miss Father's Day. It's Father's Day here in Canada. I know it also is in the United States. I'm not sure where else. And we are going over, or I am going over to our daughter and son-in-law's place. He is smoking some kind of meat, and we'll all bring something to share. So our younger son is leaving for Ireland that day, so he won't be there, but I'm going to catch a ride with our older son and his wife. So it should be fun to be together. Unfortunately, there'll be a couple of family members missing though. All right, I think that's it for this week's episode. I hope the outdoor noises haven't been too distracting. Be sure and let me know what you think, whether it's like, yeah, please record outside again, or no, never do this again. Hopefully this episode doesn't end up being for the birds in more ways than one. All right, I'm going to go inside now and make myself some chicken fajitas for dinner and work on getting this episode edited and uploaded this evening. So thanks as always for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now. I know some of you have enjoyed my recurring Mole Wars segments, and so if you do, this video clip is for you. So all summer long I have had an ongoing battle with a mole here in my hummingbird, butterfly, and bee garden. You can see the mole trap there in the corner. I've had molehills pop up either in this corner or the opposite corner of the garden for weeks. So if I have a molehill pop up here, I set the trap here, and inevitably a new molehill will pop up in the opposite corner. And so I finally got smart and moved another mole trap from another part of the garden over here. So I have one set up in each corner. So I just came out to put some things in the green bin, and what do I see? I see a new molehill in this corner, right next to the mole trap. This is what I've been dealing with. This summer it is Carol 0 mole, I've lost count.